Hello YouTube, welcome to another video, another leg day here, and just going to take you through another. You're just going to keep seeing what I'm doing to get through this recovery period. As you probably already know, it's 3 days a week of legs, using the SSB for obvious reasons, easier to grip, don't have to rely on as much mobility to get the bar on my back. And this version is super comfy, stays right on the upper back, makes it easy to stay balanced where you really only need one arm. And honestly, you can get away with no arms if you wanted to as well too. So this has been a godsend to have. Otherwise you'd be limited to, if you're lucky to have a belt squat, or just leg press, leg extensions, leg curls, and anything bodybuilding related to calves or whatever. Maybe if you're lucky, you have a hip thrust machine. But I like strength training. I like to feel heavy-ish weights, and I like to challenge myself. I didn't want to lose any strength during this whole process. So SSB was a no-brainer, and I was already using it pre-injury, so it didn't take much getting used to. All that needed to change is figuring out how I want to do my rep schemes and frequency of training, what I want to do in that training. So really starting to work up in weight here, 300, and I was really feeling like I could really find the balance to keep pushing. At first, I was a little afraid that with my bad balance, that bar would somehow come flying off my back and become dangerous for me, but not the case. And I have found you can kind of see where my arm is if you can kind of slowly push against it if you are feeling yourself kind of get away. But if you squat correctly, you really don't need that much balance. If you are being pushed forward or feel like you're being shoved back in any way, you're not during your squat, you're not on your midfoot or your center of gravity. So you really have to kind of work on all that. And ultimately, you really just have to keep trying things that work and try to find a method that you can utilize to do what you're going to do. Ultimately, it's all about mind over matter and things like that. So you really just have to keep trying. You really just have to, put your mind to something and find alternatives for it. When I first started this ER to PR series, I could barely pick up plates. So I was using the 25s, and then now I'm able to utilize the 45s and find a way to pick them up, take them off, and not be reliant on anyone else if I'm doing any sort of training. So it's been obviously not from like a weight standpoint or like strength standpoint, and nothing miraculous has happened, but just from being able to work around stuff, structure, keeping myself mentally right. When you get injured and your habits start to shift and change, and everything you were used to doing that kind of brought you pleasure and stuff before can really put you in a negative state. So you really have to find ways around it, find other ways to enjoy the things you used to like. Obviously you can train in a limited number of ways, so it is what it is, and you just got to make do. I'm just glad I can be in the gym and I can train. So that's the silver lining there. And sometimes transitioning from one way of training to another is beneficial for letting your body heal, getting better at certain lifts. So obviously squat is not my strong suit, so I've being incapacitated, you really have to work around and figure out how can I get better at this. And then when you are at your full capacity again, a lot of that's going to carry over. You can kind of think about it as some conjugate training where you're limiting what you can do to relearn movement patterns and reinforce movement patterns. But ultimately, it's just about you getting in there and doing what you need to do and slowly using your body. They always say movement's the best medicine. Obviously, if you broke a bone or have something catastrophic, you don't want to be moving it. But a lot of the rehab processes are just you getting to use that body part the way you were using it before. And there can be barriers with, they can be mental or physical. They can manifest in actual pain, and you're just too afraid to engage in that pain. So, it's just moving around and becoming adaptable to whatever's happening to you. And there's always ways. We live in a great time. We live in like the golden age of fitness where there's 100,000 different items that you can use to do what you're going to do. You don't have to always use barbells and dumbbells. You can use machines. You can use things that allow you to get a workout. And then once this period's over, you can, find other passions, other lifts. You got to count your blessings. I was able to do strongman stuff, and obviously that's what led to the injury, but being able to do it in a gym, not many people get the opportunity to not only injure yourself by pushing too hard, but learning those movements. You have to go to certain gyms or certain people to figure it out, but I was able to learn the techniques from all the people around me here and then get confident enough to progress on my own. So, it's been super, super interesting. And if fitness tells you anything, being fit is about being adaptable rather than being the strongest or the fastest runner. It's being able to make do with what you have, understanding your limitations, and then essentially just being able to make progress in some way or form. People try out all different kinds of sports, all different kinds of hobbies. They, try out all different types of methods of training, and you just eliminate the ones you don't like or that don't bring you, enjoyment, and then keep the ones you do. So I know for me, all this is doing is reinforcing that I do love strength training. I love strength training safely more than I like strongman. So probably going to make the decision to leave the whole strongman stuff behind. I don't want to compete. I've got no desire to. I just enjoy the training, and I thought sharing it with people that don't get the same access to it, and coming from a standpoint of, just a gym rat who fell into it and just kind of learned it the way that I did was kind of fun. But I think that time's kind of over. I'd prefer to train until, the day I die. So I just want to keep making progress and, do the things that I enjoy. I adapt pretty well, and I was doing great for all those years with just the typical powerlifting, bodybuilding stuff, and you can always transition and shift focus. So ultimately, the theme here is just do the same things all the time that you like. Do I enjoy doing a leg day 3 times a week? Not always, but it allows me to train, and it does feel good to put in some effort. And then I know when I come back, that's going to carry over in some way. It's not going to be for nothing. You're going to still have your motor capabilities. You're going to have to train, but it makes it easier when your lower body still being able to move. So when I come back to deadlifting, it'll be about mentally, gripping the bar. It'll be about playing it safe. And I've got a contingency plan for that too. So you really just have to invest the time and effort, decide if it's something you want to do. I know a lot of people, when they get injured, they probably don't ever want to come back. It's not something they really enjoyed. But lifting's been a part of me since I was 16 or 17, so I've got no issue with that. And definitely trying to work on calves here. I always find this angle hilarious just because it shows you how much larger my upper leg is than my lower leg, so always really funny. But, I appreciate everyone for following along. We're going to keep pushing through. I'm going to show you what I'm doing. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching the latest video. If you want to help support the channel, I actually own my own wet shaving and grooming e-commerce website where everything's handmade by me. It's www.apexsoaps.com, and you can get a 10% off code using wet shaver. We've got some cool scents here. We've got some Coca-Cola scents, a horchata scent, traditional barbershop, just some really cool stuff, and you can purchase samples or you can buy the whole set. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out via email. Be quick to respond. Thanks for watching.